Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and in today's video we're going to talk a bit about an enigma, something obviously that everybody would like to have if you're into Forex trading. You want to have a 100% win rate that makes you very comfortable, that makes you sleep at night. And the good news is that we have actually a couple of accounts that has managed 100% win rate over a long period of time. And obviously I'm going to show you this today, but more importantly, I'm also going to show in the video how you can get this done yourself. Now, this is a newer EA, so we are talking about this simple RSI trader in here. It comes from Expert Forex. They have a couple of other EAs here before that also use the same type of indicator in here. They have been used for the Liberator version where you have multiple entries. So if the price goes against you, you just continue to open. This particular one in here uses take profit and stop losses, and that is obviously a great thing also for the US market. Some of the brokers over there, they have limitations of what they can do. This one here basically lifts those limitations. So what is it all about? Well, this is our FX Blue for just one of the accounts we're going to have a closer look at here today. And you can already now access this particular account. It is link 300C. So this is on the Expert Forex link to success, or copy link service as it's also called in here. So you can already go now and see how that actually works. Now you will notice also on the chart itself, it doesn't seem to be the same smooth curve as you have seen on many of our other videos. If you look at our news report, you will see a nice smooth curve just going up, up and up. Here you have some pauses in between, and that is actually also a bit of the secret behind the 100% win rate that we have been working on here since this EA got launched. We started off in one direction, figured out, okay, the backtesting looks like it can make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, every single time, and most traders will basically be familiar with this, every single time you put the EA on after a very good run, it looks like you finally found the settings, and then all of a sudden you run into the next 2, 3, or 4 losses. It is almost like somebody is actually looking and waiting for you to fail in here, which is obviously, yes, the Forex market. So the idea here is try and get the numbers on your side, the 100%. And we have a second account also in here. As you can see, the trades marks are the same. They do one trade, it goes dormant, and then it starts off again. So with a new set of trades, and then it goes dormant. So obviously this is like watching paint dry, and that's why it is great that this particular RSI is actually fully automated, so you don't have to sit and wait for things to actually happen. And the time frames are also quite high, so it's not the most exciting EA, but clearly going to bed knowing that you have a high win rate in here, that's what most traders actually want to have. Now, I made a video before about the RSI indicator and how that is actually been used. Normally you have a scale from 0 to 100, and one is the sell section, one is the buy, when it basically turns over the top and passes again through the line in here. It provides either a sell or buy signal. So when the overbought is going in, then basically you will now have a sell, and vice versa in here. And that means that there's a good probability already that this indicator is correct, but it also very much comes down to the time frame that you are testing. And I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do this here today. So what we are looking at here is actually the little program that makes up the simple RSI trader. There's not actually many entries here at all or details. The first part for the trading logic that is set up is for the RSI period. So you enter that particular one. You have the RSI bottom level for the buy. And then once you put that in, it is automated for the sell section. And then you have the percent of equity for variable lots in here. We suggest that you don't go over 2%, but we are using the fixed lot in here because some of them are on the copy link service also. So if you are just starting out, start out with 0.01 until you gain experience with your EA and your win rates in here. We are using fixed lots because, again, we have a high win rates. We have a bit more experience on it. So we are using now 0.05. Then you have the stop loss that is specific for this particular EA in here. Take profit on the same side also. And that's pretty much it. That's all the settings. Then you have some setting guides also from Expert Forex where you can find more details and information. And then we go to the market spread. We normally leave that one at 5. And then we have the tick scaling, also auto scaling for index. We leave that particular one on. And then you have your magic number. And that's pretty much it. So very, very simple EA. And if we have a look at it, so the one we are testing here today is the Simple RSI Trader Generation 2 version 1. And the copyright for this particular one in here is Expert Forex and EA Factory. And basically all you have to do is when you are setting this particular one up, make sure that you have both long and short positions set up so you can do both sell and buys. You can enable the alerts, allow live trading, that is very important, together with allow DLL imports and allow imports of external experts. These items are necessary for the EA to actually work. Apart from that, we are only having a very few settings, especially when we are testing things. And normally what you have is, I highlighted the value. So this is the value itself that it will be trading with. At the moment, it's 5 on the RSI period and 9 for the RSI bottom level. And again, this is on the scale from 0 to 100. So if the buy is 9, then the sell is going to be 91. And again, if you do 50-50, that means that's pretty much nothing's going to happen. And then you have the stop loss. Now, what we do here for the RSI period, we normally do a start of 2 with a step of 1. And then we go all the way up to 10. That's it, not anymore. And then we have the RSI bottom level. And again, we start off with 2, we have a step of 1, and then we stop around 20, at least for what we need. It has to be that low. Then we have the stop loss in here. Again, we start off, and this is pips. So 20 pips with the steps of 2 pips all the way up to 100. And the same for the take profit. Again, we start off with 20 in steps of 2 and then all the way up to 100. That is all the settings that is pretty much required to do. And that's how we normally have done every single currency pair in here. The next part you have to do is obviously when you are testing it, you have to make sure that you set up the testing parts. In this particular case, we are normally using $300 or 300 euros. It doesn't matter. Our accounts are 300. These are the ones that you find on the coupling service also. Again, we are testing positions both long and short. Optimization in this particular case, we always use the balance part. We don't use the generic algorithm, and I'll tell you why, because again, this only handpicks a few things and you might have some good settings that you're not going to see if you use the genetic algorithm even the first time. Because what we do when we set up the Expert Advisor here, we obviously make sure we have the Simple RSI Trader Generation 2 in here. We select our symbols, so that means the currency pair we want to be testing. And then you have 3 options in here for the model with the open price, which is the fastest one. So you have the control points. So again, as it says here, very crude method of analyzing. And then you have every tick. And normally you will notice that I always tell you that to do every single tick. But for this particular one, and especially when you are testing just these 4 settings, there is quite a lot of thousands of settings that you have in here. And because of the nature of the EA, it actually goes at the end of the candle anyway. And that means you can actually use the open price for this particular one in here as the first run. So you'll get through this and you can get that done for most of the currency pairs. Some currency pairs is a bit slow, some are a bit faster, but most of the time that will actually happen within about half an hour. So depending on, of course, also how powerful your computer is, but that will give you the Excel file that you can then start running on. And then from there on, when you test, you can then use the tick data, and that's that little box down here that we have. It also shown use tick data up here. So that means the most precise 99.9% accuracy. So when you have your results from either your Excel that you exported in or you have it on your MT4, then you double check the data with your tick data at the end of the day. Now time frames also. Time frames, we are using high time frames in here. You can obviously make a lot more money if you use 1 minute, 15 minutes, or even 30 minutes, but they also become a lot more inaccurate. So that means, again, your high win rate will never get to anywhere close to the 100%. So we started off with 1 hour time frames. We get some very, very good results. Then as we look on the win rate, and we figure that out by simply backtesting the individual settings that we have, then we figure out if we actually want to change it. So that means that if we have low win rates and can get the win rates over 70 or maybe low 80%, we're going to go and test it on the 4-hour time frame instead. That most cases will actually be even better, even though some of the profit might go away. But that is basically a balance that you have to do at the end of the day. I'm just showing you how we are doing things. Another thing which is quite important, and I know a lot of people most probably will disagree with me, they like to backtest for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, even 1 year. And we don't do that for any of our EAs because we know that the Forex market is in constant involvement. That means it changes, and most of the years it changes somewhere between 3 to 4 times or up to 6 to 8. It all depends on what is happening in the world. So there's no point of testing settings that worked 20 years ago or 10 years ago for that matter. You want to know what is happening now. You want to try and adapt to the market that we're in. And obviously you cannot see the future, but at least if you can adapt to the market you're in right now, then you can get some good wins in. And then when the results start sliding, then you have to again make some adjustments. So you can see in here, we are normally testing maximum 2 or 3 months. And that also limits the data that you get back. But that is a good one. We want a high precision data. In this particular case here, we started off from the 1st of April. And then we ended up just before we are shooting this particular video in here. So at the end of the month of July. So with the data that we have from over the weekends, we are doing normally some testing in there. And then we get those results. So what I've done here is basically let the MT4 platform run, do all the testing that was required. And if you have a closer look, you'll see the number 287,451. That is all the numbers that we have been crushing. And obviously it is a huge Excel then that we have to go through. There's a lot of data. And we're not doing it the same way as we normally do with our Liberator versions, where we take the drawdown versus profit, because that is actually not going to get us anywhere closer, because there's other parameters for this particular EA that is going to basically mess with the results. But if we start off, let's just have a look and see the profits that we are getting in. So the top profits for this particular one is 252. That seems to be the best we can do on this particular run at that time. We have put in up here, and you can actually do that by selecting data. And then we've selected a filter because that makes it a lot easier. Normally we simply use the sort button, but that's not going to work in this particular case. So the profit is here. You can see the trades, how many trades is there. And that is, again, crucial part. We don't want to have too many trades. We just want to have trades that are good and positive for us every time. We have a profit factor in here. This one is very, very important. Then we have an expected payoff, and obviously it's always nice to see bigger numbers, but the expected payoff is normally set up together with the take profit in here. So that means that if you have a high number, so in this particular case, take profit is 56, the expected payoff, that means per trade, is around 10. If you go to the bottom one here, you'll see 7, 4, 8, and 8. And that's because the take profit down here is at 34 instead. And that produces also expected payoffs per trade in here to be different numbers. And again, that is not going to get us any closer to the win rate. So then we have the drawdown in dollars. And right now we don't really care too much about that because the drawdowns are pretty limited on these. And as we are getting a higher win rate, also the drawdown most of the time actually comes down. We have it in dollars, and here we have it in percentage at the end of the day. So these ones are a bit high. What we want to start off with instead is the profit factor. We want to have a high profit factor. You can already see here that we have a few, and these are the ones. Let me just mark them up. There you go. So we have the first 4 in here. We have 23 trades, and this is obviously the best ones, so you can go with that. You have a profit factor of 1.88, and then you can see over here, same period, 2, all of them, and then you have oversold and overbought. Goes well, 19, 18, 17, 16. So as you are going down, normally you should see less drawdown, but it looks like, and again, this is open price, so it's not so accurate. But if you go in and do a bit more accurate 99.9 tick data in here, you'll see some differences. Anyway, we can already see when we go to the next one just below that the profit factor is actually higher. The reason for that, as you can see, is the profit is pretty much the same as the other one, but instead of 23 trades, we're now down to 17. So clearly that looks to be a better option in here. And for this particular one, it's a period 3 and then oversold with 15. Stop loss seems to be the same, and then take profits. So these are the ones that we're going to actually focus on instead. We want to have some higher numbers, and you can see even down here we have another one. So we want to make sure that we get the profit factors right. And if we start off, you have a place in here, it's called numbers, greater than or equal to. And if you start off, you can put 2 in here. So that will already take it. And then we say from largest, smallest. So now this looks like the best numbers in here. You can see obviously profit is not the highest, but the profit factor is the highest. And if you try and run some of these ones, you'll see that these will for sure be in the 90s. All depends again on how many trades versus how many negative trades you will have in here. Normally, when you don't have a profit factor number in here, then that means it's at 100%. And if we go the other way, so to the smallest one, you'll see that even here you have a profit factor of 2. So all of them is basically covered. If we then move on and we want to have a bigger profits in here also, so the profit number we're going with seems to be more than 6 at the moment, and you'll now notice also some of the numbers that come out. You can see again the period is 3 and it's all the way down here. Actually, you can see oversold, we're in 6. So if let's mark that one up all the way down to here instead, and then you'll notice that the stop loss is actually bigger than the take profits. So again, we're cashing in small amounts and we have a bigger stop loss. That is not always the good case. You want to have a good balance. The best thing you can do, of course, is try and get a bigger take profit than you have of a stop loss. So that means that every single time you lose one, it's easy to gain back. But most of the time, it actually doesn't work very well with win rates. If you want to have a high win rate, then normally you have a lower take profits and you have higher stop loss. And again, when you have those kind of items, then yes, you get a bigger hit and you now need about 2 or 2.5 positive trades in order to go back into plus. But if you have a win rate of 90, 95, or even 100%, then clearly you're going to make that one back. But that is up to you, how you actually want to set things up. We can also go in and again adjust for the profits, because maybe this one is a bit too low. But you have to run the tick data in order to double check it. We go greater than or equal to. We want to see only things where we make more than $100 in here. And there you go. Now all of a sudden it jumps up. So now we have a few more in here. So 12. So this is 12 trades. And it is on the period 6, and you have overbought. All of them is 20. And again, you go in here, you have a closer look at the stop loss. And if we have a look, the top stop loss is 54 and it goes all the way down to around 34 in here. And then your take profit is about 20 or 22. So normally something like this is more like it. You have to run the tick data. You have to make sure that you're in the 90s, if not 100%. And then I would take one of the stop losses in here. In this particular case, it looks like every single time it's 20, it's 30, 34, 36 you have up here. For the 20, you also have 38. So again, I would take somewhere around, not the lowest one, but around 38 in here. So about 2 away from the lowest stop loss, and then take the profits. So either 38 or then take 20, the earliest take profit you can do. Take one of those in here, try and run them on the backtest with now the tick data, and then see the numbers you come out with. So there's a bit more of a test and error in this particular case in here, what you have to do. Again, you can always go back and try and test the ones with the highest profits that you have in here. You can see that even the one that I marked up here before, that also looks quite good. 2 and 7, you have about 16 and you still have a lot of profits. So it's about of a balance, and it's about of a test in order to make sure that you get the right part. But what you are looking at when you are testing 2 or 3 months is most of the time 100% win rate you're not gonna get with more than 20, max 30 trades in here, so you don't have to backtest all these other ones. You can obviously, once you have done this test, you can go back in and then run the test again with tick data, but only on 2 of the settings at a time, otherwise it simply takes too long. So if you manage to do this correctly, then we're going on the MT4 platform, and then it's going to look like this. We started off with this particular account. So this is a Euro Swiss francs. It's on the 4-hour time frame. And you can see we already have trade centers. So that particular one is set up. It's quite a few that has actually linked with this particular one already. This one was started 24th of May, and we had a deposit of 300 in here. And the first trade it did was actually on the 26th. That took about almost 2 weeks here, ended on in June on the 11th, and that was a positive. The next one we have here is started on the 11th, another positive in here, finished on the 13th. So a very good indication too. Then we had third one here, started on the 13th and finished 3 days later on the 16th. We have on the 16th, and then another one here on 1st of July. And since then it hasn't traded. And again, it has ever since, but it doesn't trade all the time. You'll see very few time frames in here where it's actually trading. And that's also why we have the high win rate, because obviously if it only trades when the overbought and oversold is really an item, then it should be cashing in. The other one we have here is the Aussie Swiss francs, also on a 4-hour time frame. And again, this one here was started on the 24th of May, also with $300. Started off on the 26th with the first one. And this particular one here finished 4 days later on the 30th. So that was positive. We have the other one on the 30th of May, finished on the 4th of June. We have another one here from the 4th and go to the 13th, from the 13th to the 15th, and then from the 16th to the 23rd. So that was a 7-day one for this particular one. And you can see every single time it has been cashing in, it has been positive. So these are some of the results you can expect if you are making a bit of work on the settings, similar to what I just showed you. So as you can see, the EA is very simple, very few settings, very easy to set up. And if you have been listening to this particular video in here, you should get yourself a high win rate. You're not going to get a 100% win rate on all of the EAs, neither do we. Most of the ones that we started off testing on the 1-hour chart was somewhere between 75–80% and a few up to 100. And if you have some of them that are actually low in the 70s and low 80s, try the 4-hour time rate instead. Sometimes it actually improves it dramatically. Other times it actually goes the other way. So it is a bit of a trial test in here with a lot of backtesting done under different circumstances and environments. And once you are there, put them on the demo account, let them see how they trade for a couple of weeks or even up to a month before you start putting money into it at the end of the day, because these ones, they can go against you. And again, even with the win rate here, it is high. Your backtesting you have done, there is still outside things within the Forex market, such as news reports that are coming out mostly on Fridays, but it can be other major news that will also have a big fluctuation in here, basically kicking your trade out on a stop loss or hopefully a profit. But again, that is the nature of it. So don't expect it to be 100% forever. Now, there's a lot more details on the Expert Forex website also. I just put a few things in here for you. Again, showing you the overbought, oversold. Also some of the settings that Expert Forex are recommending for you. But I've already shown you here what ranges that we are testing. We are getting the very good results. And you can also go on the Expert Forex website in here for the link to success or copy link service, where we now already have quite a few of these particular EAs running. And again, be wary, because it is not similar to the Liberator versions that we have there, where it just looks like the profit is going up and up. There will be losses from time to time. It will go into only a slight drawdown, so that is the good news. But obviously everybody will panic when they have seen a couple of trades lost every single day or every single week, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you pull out, we have seen before, then you get 6, 7 or 8 positive trades coming in, and then all of a sudden you're at a loss. All the other traders are actually on a gain at the end of the day. But that is the nature of this particular one. That's also why we haven't been a big fan of it in the past. But at the moment, it looks like some of them, they are working extremely well. And we want to show the potential in here, of course. So I hope this video has given you some very, very good insights as to set up your EAs, or if you are on the copy link service with us, how we actually do it in order to try and advise you on how our settings work, what we are basically going through when we are finding settings for these EAs, and the time frame that we are also testing it. But don't forget, you and you alone are responsible for your own trading. So I suggest also that you start off, if you are copying our signals, start off on demo accounts, and then figure out if this is actually what you would expect from the trading coming out of there. Once you are comfortable with it, then put a small amount in here, and then you can always escalate it as you get growing more and more confident of the signals. So I hope this video has been a good one for you. You'll learn something new, and please give us a thumbs up and a comment. If you have anything else to add, please do so. All the links also for the details that I've given in here today's video will be below in the video description. So I hope I'll see you on one of my next videos. Bye bye.